Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the independent Era 3 premium medium tank, the Dragula T-55 AGM. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Dragula. It is a tank that is back on sale again, as it is part of Metal Fest. And as a tank, it is worth 10,800 gold. It's a tank that quite a few people have asked for another video on the channel, because naturally it's come back on sale. So here we are. It's the Dragula. And what's it like as a tank? Well, it's just sort of alright. It's not anything really that special. It does what other MBTs do. The armour on it is very so-so. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The gun's very, very nice, but what isn't in Era 3? The DPM's okay on it as well, but again, what isn't really in Era 3? The mobility's pretty damn good, but again, what isn't in Era 3? It's not got very good gun depression, which, yeah, is very Soviet of it, but there you go. And the one problem that it has is that it always gets matched up against Cesarios. Like, nearly always. You always see at least 2 or 3 in a game when you play the Dragula, because you're technically, even though you're an MBT, you're technically a medium tank, and a Cesario is technically a medium tank, so you'll always end up getting matched up against those often, which is pure pain, because that tank is overpowered and ridiculous compared to you, pretty much. But on the whole, it's not a bad tank. If you were to pick this vehicle up, you get a pretty solid tank for Era 3. It does what pretty much all the other Era 3s do. There's not really that much special about it. It will make you very, very good silver. You'll be able to compete in it. And I think that's the main thing, really, that you want from it. So the Dragula has the 77.44 kilometers an hour top speed that I've got with the build that I run. 22.99 kilometers an hour reverse speed, a 1050 horsepower engine with the 22.83 horsepower per ton ratio, which means it does get to its top speed very, very easily. Ground resistances don't hold the tank back whatsoever, just like every other Cold War vehicle. It's got 10% internal fire chance, which is on the low end of fire chances, but it likes getting set on fire all the time, which is a very Soviet tank type problem. As it does have a low fire chance, but yet it still gets set on fire quite often. Yeah, it's one of those pains. You got 57.75 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, which means the tank does turn pretty quickly on its tracks, which is pretty nice for it to feel really good with the mobility. You've got 620 meters of view range, which is nice as well. It means you can spot for yourself very, very easily in the Dragula. 54.82 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed is slower than the tracks, so do bear that in mind, that if you try to keep your tank locked on to something on your left and you turn the tank to the right, it's probably going to pull the gun away, so you've just got to be very, very careful of that. 0.44 accuracy during rotation with a 0.8 accuracy during movement is very, very good, and that's with all the crew skills, and that's basically with all the gun skills, which means that your gun is pretty much always aimed in, which is very nice, but again, there's quite a few Era 3 tanks that are like that. You've got 0.2 accuracy at 100 meters, which is incredibly accurate. The gun very rarely misses, but again, what's different for most Era 3s on that one with this type of gun? You've got a 1.81 second aim time, which means it doesn't take long to aim in whatsoever, which is definitely nice for the tank, but to be honest, you don't ever feel it anyway, because your aim circle doesn't bloom out that much. You've got 5 degrees of gun depression, which is on the low end of gun depression. It's pretty poor, but that's a very Soviet-esque tank thing to have. 5.4 second reload is 6.1k DPM, which is pretty damn solid. 606 pen on the standard APFS DS, with 697 pen on the premium APFS DS, 155 pen on the HE, for 550 alpha on the standard and premium, and 690 on the HE, which is pretty nice for that. And the pen is good enough to go through most vehicles you'll face. As you saw with the first game, we finished with 7.4k damage, 1400 assistance damage, 1485 base XP. A pretty average game there for the Dragula in Era 3. And we sadly got shut down by Cesario, but that's not uncommon for a lot of vehicles. And yeah, you get, like I say, you're going to match up against them very, very often in this thing, because they're both medium tanks. You've got 1700 meters a second shell velocity on the premium and on the standard APFS DS, 850 on the HE. So if you load the HE, bear in mind that the shell velocity is so much slower than the standard and the premium that you will have to give a lot more lead. But the shell velocity on the standard and the premium, the APFS DS, is really solid, and you don't have to give much lead at distance to be able to hit your targets. And especially with having such an accurate gun during rotation and movement and at 100 meters, the gun just feels superb. But like I say, there's not that much different to a lot of vehicles in Era 3, because a lot of vehicles have that absolutely excellent accurate gun with absolutely excellent DPM that's around that 6k mark. That's just the thing with the Dragula for me, that I just find it a bit boring, really, because there's not much unique about it, and it's very, very similar to a lot of other MBTs in Era 3, and there's quite a few that I would rather play that have more like 10 degrees of gun depression, that sort of thing, you know what I mean? An armour that works more consistently. Because this is one of those armours that very much is the case that ATGMs will sometimes hit it and not do anything, but then a lot of the time they'll go straight through and then blow your head off. You know, it's kind of like that armour. You can't really rely on it, which is super frustrating. Not like playing Mr. Overpowered over there, where the armour on it is super duper good, and the gun handling on it is absolutely amazing. Your DPM's insane, you know, and you've got great mobility, all that sort of stuff. But I digress. As it is a premium tank, you do get 150% silver bonus, and like I say, for 10k gold, it makes very, very good silver. It's a very, very good silver earner indeed, which is definitely a lovely factor for the Dragula. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment for the Dragula T-55 AGM? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, 6th Sense, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Trap Mechanic, Clutch Braking, Rapid Aim, the Advanced Loader, the Traction System, and Vents. Vents to get the best out of the DPM and everything else about the tank generally. Traction System to get that extra top speed so I can go at 77 kilometers an hour and have the even better mobility. The Advanced Loader to get the best out of the DPM as always. All 3 gun perks so I never have to think about the gun stabilizer, so that this gun is always fantastic, always aimed in, and is a great time. Clutch Braking and Rapid Aim just to make the track traverse better, and again make the mobility of the tank, make it feel extremely mobile while turning left and right so it doesn't really feel that lethargic. And then the Rapid Aim to just keep the turret traverse somewhere close to that track traverse. But there's plenty of ways you can set up the vehicle. It's really down to you and how you want to kit out the tank, as always, because usually the builds would be down to how you can get the best out of the vehicle, because what I run might not work the best for you. So we're in this second game here in the Dragula, and we're up to 5.2k damage with 429 assistance damage so far. We see the Asario, we go for that tracking shot, because we can, if we aim it right, we can actually overmatch and track and pen the Asario, but we're not quite getting it. We're just trying to get a little bit of a better angle there. But he gets absolutely rammed by the Leclerc Ares prototype. So, well, there's only 6 tanks left on the enemy team. We know where they all generally are. They're all around that ridgeline at EF9 and in that general area. So we're going to try and use our mobility to get across towards the enemy team before our team gets there, so we can try and get a little bit extra damage. So we see the Topol and the T-72M2E. I think it was the T-72M2E anyway, which is the Moderna. We see the Desert Warrior as well, and Mr. Desert Warrior, we get the snapped RBRT in because this tank can do that pretty easily, because like I say, the gun handling is pretty damn fantastic. Hit the ADATs on the move as well, which is, just like I say, just like every other Era 3, we can do that quite easily. Finish off the Desert Warrior there with the shot, and what I want to do now is try and push under the gun of, it's a T-72M2, there we go, it's not the M2E. So we're trying to get under the gun of the T-72M2. If I can track and pen this guy, that's what we're going for. We do actually manage to track and pen him there, but he repairs it and pulls back behind the cover. But in fact, drives back out. That was a poor aim there for us. We just snapped it into his lower plate. We really wanted that drive wheel yet again. And there we go. We finally get it. We track and pen the T-72M2 again. And this time we have him. He's screwed at this point. So we've damaged his fuel tanks, hopefully set him on fire with this one to finish him off. But no, apparently not. We'll just not pen it at all. Thank you, RNG. Set him on fire with the pen through the drive wheel this time, finishing him off, putting us up to 8.7k damage and 3k assistance. Shot through the T80U and the Topol's down there as well, trying to get his shot into that Topol so that we can put him down to a one-shot and hopefully he'll get finished off. I should really just stop going for the Topol at this point because it's a bit of an awkward pen at this sort of angle. And we should have gone for another extra shot into one of those two guys, because he was never going to shoot me or anyone else. But unfortunately, we don't get any more damage there. But we still finished with a pretty damn solid game. We finished with the epic victory. 4 kills, 9.8k damage, 3k assistance damage. That's 13k combined with the Ace Tanker and the 1762 basic XP. A very nice game there for the Dragula, showing you what it's all about and what it's capable of. Let's say the mobility is very, very nice. The gun handling is great. The DPM's solid. The armour works occasionally. It's one of those armours that I say really likes to work sometimes and then really doesn't work at all the next time you've tried to rely on it, you know what I mean? It's one of those unreliable types of armour. But on the whole, it's a pretty solid MBT. It will do you pretty well. If you like your Soviet-esque tanks in Era 3, you'll probably really enjoy the Dragula. And to be fair, for an Era 3 MBT, I don't think it could actually go wrong for 10,000 gold, because usually they're a lot more expensive than that, and you'll get a very good silver in that regard too. So yeah, it's one of those things, like, I just don't enjoy the vehicle. I just don't find it fun. I find it a very ununique tank. It's one of those that I just sort of go, there's a lot of other MBTs in Era 3 that I would probably rather be in, you know? Like, I enjoyed the Leclerc Ares prototype, for example, a hell of a lot more than this tank. But does that make it a bad tank just because I don't like it? No, not at all. And it's, like I say, a pretty solid Era 3 MBT. There's just not that much that's different about it compared to a lot of others. It's just a weird one, but I suppose that's Era 3 in general. There's quite a few vehicles that are very, very samey. I suppose the Leclerc is prototype alongside the Leclerc, alongside the Abrams, alongside the other MBTs that are very similar in that regard, with great DPM, great 10 degrees of gun depression, great mobility, armor that works decently, you know. I suppose it's just the way it is when you get to this year of type of tank, right? You know, the tank design, I should say. But there we go. I digress again. Once again, we're on to the third replay. And this third replay, we're here on this map, which is Mr. Severogorsk. And we're just fighting this corner here at D4, trying to get shots down into the Leclerc. And trying to get shots into that T80BV as well. We're actually getting HE spammed at us, which is a bit of a pain. We're really holding this corner with our friend here in the Type, I think it's the Type 90 that's next to me. The Chieftain Mark 11 drives up. Now, the Chieftain Mark 11 is really not a very good tank. So what we're trying to do is track and pen him through the drive wheel, because it is absolutely 100% made of Ammarax. But we've not got any ATGMs. If we had ATGMs, that guy's lid would be popping. But we don't. So we're just trying to keep this gun farming as much as possible. Now, we're in the problem that if we stay where we were there, we're just going to die. So we've got to get ourselves back into a better position where we can get shots and stay safe from these guys on the right, because we're just losing too many hit points. We can't go toe-to-toe with an Asario like that, because we're just going to die. We're just going to lose, because he kills us way faster than we kill him, and more often than not, we'll probably actually bounce on him, whereas he won't bounce on us that often. But as you saw, you can pen an Asario, especially firing 700 pen rounds, through the turret front. If you aim to the left or the right of the gun, you can go through the Asario like that. And as I said earlier, you can overmatch the side, as the side is only about 30mm thick, I think it is, on the Asario. And with a 125, yeah, you're going to go through that. But we have loaded 700 pen rounds, which means we are going through that Asario's turret front every time. We're now at 626 HP, which at this point, when I'm seeing how many enemy tanks are directly in front of us, I'm not thinking this is going to go well. But we're going to try our best to whittle the guns out of the game so that we can win this fight. The Asario puts the shot straight through our upper plate. We get lucky in the fact that the T80BV bounces. We've still got an Asario on our left, thankfully, who is holding that corner. If we can get rid of this Asario, that would be great. He bounces, though, off of our turret front. We hit the rock directly in front of us somehow, and I think, you know what, I'm going to chance it. We get lucky. We bounce the Asario, and we put the shot straight through his turret front. Now going after the other one, and we put the shot through his side as well, finishing off the next Asario in the list. Like I say, you see plenty of them when you play this tank. We end up bouncing on the BV there with an RBRT, which was a bit of a bad shot. And again, I was thinking I was going to die at this point, but thankfully the BV was just RBRT, and like I was a second ago against him, he hits the upper plate and just bounces. If he'd aimed it and hit the lower plate at any point there, we would have been dead. But thankfully, because they were just coming around, locking on and trying to fire and go straight through the center, it doesn't always, like I said, the armor on this tank is one of those that you can't really rely on it. You can't really expect it to bounce every time, but it's definitely proof to those kinds of shots where, say, if I'm traveling at 77 kilometers an hour and in my own Dragula and I RBRT another Dragula that's stationary in the distance, there's every likelihood that I still will bounce that. Got to hit the lower plate or the exact specific spot on the upper plate where there's gaps in the armor and that sort of thing. Same as the gaps in the turret, because there is big gaps in the actual turret where the armor package joins on, you know, right next to the gun, and you can go through that in the Dragula as well. So we're trying to get shots here into the lower plate of the T80U, who is right at the back of the map, who's definitely really helped his team back there. So we are just trying to angle up for a better shot, but again, I don't want to get spotted. I don't want to go too far out, because otherwise we're going to end up in a position where he'll just smash us and kill us. And I don't want that. We've had a pretty damn solid game so far. So the T80U is now being pressured, which means he's driving out. Unfortunately, we aim a little bit too low there, which means we don't actually pen the T80U, but we do track him and we'll take all of that assistance damage. Thank you very much. up to 10,844 damage with the 2,271 assistance damage. There's just the BMP3 left, and the BMP3 gets shut down by the Declare T4. And we finished the game with a really damn solid total there for Mr. Dragula, with the 4 kills, 10,844 damage, 2.2k assistance, that's nearly 13k combined, ace tanker, high caliber, the Confederate for the 1892 base XP. That's a solid game for what is a pretty standard solid MBT in Era 3, and I'd say I don't think you could go wrong for 10k gold if you like this style of MBT in Era 3, as it will make you a lot of silver, and there's not really that much wrong with it. So as always everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!